Good morning. It's morning here anyway, and it's probably all kinds of hours everywhere, right? Time, relative. So I wanted to say hello and say that I miss doing a lot of these videos for you, but I've just been so busy, guys, so forgive me. I'll get to them. I had to take a week off and kind of get some R&R at Mickey World. And I thought I would work on some of this at Mickey World, and I just took so much time to relax and kind of think, I'm getting ready for our level 2 class. And very important at level 2 class that one understands the protocols and just how you take cases and get them well. Because it is not difficult to get yourself well. There are some that are very chronic in their lymphatic systems, chronic in the kidney and adrenals. And so you have to understand is that if you fix that colon, you clean that colon and that small bowel up, that GI tract, mouth down, you fix those kidneys and those adrenal glands and you get them back up running and filtering, your whole body will come clean. Because this is just a simple matter of an acid's obstructions that have backed up and created acidosis, or what you call inflammation. So you have to realize that no matter what situation you're in, that you are involved in this process. If you stop and look at it, you can reduce the whole of man's suffering, obviously linked to what he eats, what he drinks, what he breathes, and what he puts on his skin. There's no question that you have to link everything your lifestyle is involved in, your stressors, your emotions, your mental attitudes, all these things come in a package called you. And you have to take a look at that and change those things. The raw movement is an incredible movement now that's been gained momentum, started many years ago, back in the 1800s. And maybe even before then. You go back to the Essene Gospel of Peace, and someone wrote me a nice letter talking about the Essene Gospel of Peace. They just got a hold of this in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the story of Enoch, and all of this. And you start to look at the agnostics, and you start to understand more of what Jesus was really about, and the raw food consciousness of that time. And that's going back pretty far, isn't it? So when you understand that man has been locked in this negative battle of killing animals for food and eating dead food, and of course it's always been regional, this has been the problem. Man migrated and settled in hostile environments to his survival. But it was a natural course for this planet. Obviously you can't look back. This is just simply creation. So I wanted to talk to you a little about spirituality this morning a little bit, and not to say that is a separate entity than what you are already. Spirituality really is just the awakening of the self to the self. In other words, as you begin to awaken on this planet, which most of you are, by the time you come to this door, it is time for you to make drastic changes in your consciousness, in your awareness. It's time for you to let go. It's time for you to wake up out of the drama, the movie, the play, creation. Because creation is just God's playground. And it exists and lives within the body of it. There is no external to that which is all. So everything is inclusive. Hard to understand, really, when you start seeing separation. And part of our class is going to be on spirituality. And we're going to dig in a little more about how creation is created so you understand who you are as opposed to who your body is and what your body is there for you for. And that includes your emotional body, your mental bodies, and the very fact of you as an individual as separate from others. All this in context of the one, the whole, that which is all. Hard to understand those things when you're looking at this through the mind and through your emotions, because these are all tainted. These are all conditioned instruments that are conditioned, just like your physical body can be conditioned by how you eat, drink, breathe, how you build it up. Then the same is true emotionally and mentally, but it isn't who you are. And it is important at this particular time, in this particular Kali Yuga, to awaken up who you are. And this is what's happening. Most of you here are very high souls, and you're awakening up. And you can argue on whether fruits are better than vegetables and this sort of thing, and argue on these pathways. But the reality is you're playing in creation. Creation is up, down, backwards, forwards, square around. It's just all over the place, because it is your world to create, your world to play. It's just that it's to a certain level it's very real, but to another level it is only the drama, as they say. So you must understand that. And by understanding that, your survival, because what happens is when you wake up, and I look at Arnold Ehret as a good example. Why did he slip and fall and break his neck? Right? I mean, that's kind of interesting for someone so vibrant. And if you look at all the raw foodists, Ehret was the most vibrant in relationship to his diet, because he was a fruitarian thinker. And if you look at these different people have made statements through raw foodists and didn't look good and stuff like that. And I find that just an ignorant statement. Because one has to understand that we're coming from a position of very chronic problems. Cell weaknesses are at their chronic levels. Level of acidosis is a chronic level of acidosis. And so we're fighting up out of that. And yet that is just the physical part. It is just how we've been playing the role here. It's how we become herd animals in a social consciousness. The social consciousness is what's deemed the protective consciousness in creation, of course. You know, that this country, our country, is going to protect itself over another, our state, our county, our family, that sort of thing. But this isn't reality. This is simply the movie that you're in. And a lot of you are wakening up to this. And look at Arnold Ehret. He reached, I thought, as high as he could go in his understanding in that time. And so, time for him to go. And if you look back on this, and you look at when people passed to another level of activity, they were done with this one. And so be it, because this one is pretty wild. This is the most claustrophobic. This is the most inert area. And then we have people pushing minerals. So we like to dig deeper into the ground instead of getting our heads up out of the ground and looking to the sky. Oh, look at that beautiful fruit. Some people want to dig in the earth and start eating dirt. And so it's the way we're not growing. And so we have to understand, by the time you come to this doorway on this YouTube site, most of you are getting ready to go into greater adventures. You're awakening to the illusion. And you start to see what's been going on here. But you have to understand that the rest of creation is also unconscious. That's why you can't get too mad at things, although you want to tear some heads off sometimes, but you can't get too mad because these individuals live in an unconscious way. They don't know what they're doing. They're being responsive and reactive. And so you don't want to be that way. You don't want to be the leaf blowing in the wind, and your life is at the hands of others. It is all coming back to the self again. It's all coming back to the one. Those of you that are seeing 11:11, what does that mean? We stand as individuals, but as one. And you'll start to see this more and more all over the world, and particularly on this planet, and in this dimension at this particular cycle. Because everything is cycles. The Hindus call them yugas, and this happens to be called the Kali Yuga. The golden age, obviously, of the Kali Yuga, but there's the other ages coming. So what it simply means is it's time for those of you that are awakening to start enjoying your next journey, preparing yourself. Your very thoughts, your very emotions create your future. That's how creation is run. These are just bodies. So when you use your mind and use your thought processes, that's how you're imaging what you want and what you want to experience, even if it's just realms of truth or knowledge. Then your emotional side, your emotional body drives that thought. How bad do you want this? How bad do you want to experience that? And then, of course, the physical side is just the most inert culmination of all the bodies together. And it is obviously the most inert, the most vulnerable to destruction from the emotional side and the mental side. Your emotional side is much more powerful than the physical side, and your mental side is much more powerful than the astral or emotional side. The mind rules creation. So just important to understand that. Get out of your mind, get out of your emotions. And this is when I talk about being detached, which you can study all the religions of the world, the philosophies of the world, the spiritual teachings of the world. And you should never fear these things, because you don't let anything happen to you, or you don't have to accept anything you don't want to accept. Get your power back. Because your life is in your hands, not your neighbors, not your lover, not your children, not your animals. You are the living truth. That's what all spiritual giants taught. And it is you are that doorway to understanding who God is, who the creator of this incredible, even though it's duality, but the creator of this. And the bottom line, it's you. You're the creator. You just have to shed off those illusionary concepts that have been devised to separate you from that. And we've talked about that. How the more lost you become, the greater the movie. You know, you go to the movies and you watch a really great directed movie. You don't even know you're sitting there watching it. And that's the idea. Because as you awaken, time to go. Time to go. And a lot of you are getting ready to go to your next experience. Some of you are older out there. Some of you young guys, you're here with me to make a difference at this level of consciousness. The negative side is too out of balance. You have to bring in the positive side. Well, you can't say, God, bring in the positive side, because you're the vehicle for that. There isn't anything outside of that. And that's our mistake. It comes through you. You're, in essence, the creator of your own world. And we bump uglies, obviously, with all the other creators in creation. Wait till you get to the level where you get to create everything yourself. Oh, that'd be interesting for you. So as we begin to awaken, we begin to see truth. And as you see truth, don't be unsettled. Become more strong in the self. And the best way to do that is very simple. Stop thinking. Stop wanting things. You know, understand that all life exists in the moment. All the answers, everything exists outside of the time track. And outside of the time track is in the moment. You know, they used to say time is just a succession of nows. And we talked a lot about the now, the eternal now. And it's hard to understand that, but when you get yourself beyond thought, you are now home. At least the first steps of being home. Because now you're dwelling in the eternal allness. There is no positive and negative. It all just simply is. And then when you start to look at the words that you use in Christianity and you use in Hinduism, you start to see what they're saying, what they mean about the allness of all things. And so in our advanced class, we're going to talk about how consciousness manifests itself into materiality. And that's important to understand. If you want to understand genetics and blueprints of the cell and things like this, and why it is we regenerate tissue, you know, how that is from a more spiritual viewpoint, from a more physics energetic viewpoint. So it's just a little bump I wanted to talk to you this morning. I know I don't have a lot of time here, but I wanted to spend with you this morning, and I enjoy going over your issues. I wish I could get to more of you. Like I said, if any of you are suffering too much, you don't wait. Yes, we're having phone problems, and we're trying to accommodate that. It isn't easy to hire people that can help you at the levels that we can afford. That's the other problem. You know, there's a reality here in creation that you have to look at, and that in businesses we have certain realities that we have to put up with, you know. Business is business, and that's just, you have to work that out, or you're not here to survive and help others, you know. So we run a very thin line of profit anyway. So it's just our issues of trying to survive and help you guys as much as we can, because you're all so beautiful to us. And don't get astray. You know, one of the biggest things now, you have touched the door of truth. Do not allow those negative forces to come jumping at your heels, because they will. Oh, but I'm a raw foodist, but, you know, some cooked food now and then, absolutely. Well, that's okay. But then a little dairy products will be okay, a little now and then. Oh, and maybe a little meat once in a while. And pretty soon you're sucked back into that. Or then you start reading all these books and all these other practitioners, and pretty soon they start pulling you away from truth. Truth is simple. This health is very simple. If we make it complex, it's only the human mind and its immature level that's doing that. And you want to get out of your mind, because if you make life too complicated, you'll get lost and you'll lose your joy, and you will then be fear-based. And if you're fear-based, you're not in the self. You're not in control of your world, and you are the powerhouse of your world. Every one of you, take back your joy. Take back your world. Stand up for truth and freedom, because that's what the bell is right now. Look around the world. It's ringing the bell of freedom. Soul is wakening up to the drama, and it's demanding itself to have freedom. Well, those that are in control aren't awakening. Not much. So they don't get it, because they've always been in control and power. And this is what you see in creation constantly. Those that control others, those that manipulate others, obviously. It just makes for maybe good creation, me, myself, and I. You know, I'm tired of that sort of thing. You know, it's time that truth, the bell of truth, ring loud across this dimension, this whole physical universe. And let me say that it isn't just this level that's getting it. All these levels are getting it, because what you see here in chaos is merely a reflection of what's going on in the mind. This chaos is in the mind. The chaos is in the emotions. Notice how many of you have emotional chaos. And then our endocrine glands get beat up because of this. And this is what you're seeing, because it's tough for something so magnificent and beautiful as you, as soul, coming into a very inert, constipated, claustrophobic realm, to experience separateness, to have things different. Oh, look, I can play and have this, and oh, and I can eat this and stuff like that. But that isn't who you are. That is playing in a dimension that is designed with tools to play with. No different than you would go into Toys R Us and go, oh, look at all the toys. And I'm just going to go have fun and play, and, you know, and you have different departments, and absolutely. Absolutely. So I hope you all are doing well. If you're not, make yourself well. Plow through this. Keep moving through this. Look and make sure. If fruits are too strong, back down a little bit. It's okay. You know, there's nobody over anybody here with a club. And all these narcissistic raw foodists has got to, that's part of the learning process. Listen, I staunch raw foodist. And I am not a staunch raw foodist now. I have some cooked vegetables, but my whole beingness is raw. I'm trying to walk with balance in what I can do with my self-discipline in the middle of chaos. And so all of you that way, I don't judge any of you, because it's unimportant. It's unimportant what your journey, what you want your journey to be. It's your journey. That's why I don't care what diets people follow. But if you want to get well, there's only one way to do that. And you have all these other practitioners going, but that doesn't work and this doesn't work. But these are coming from mouths of babes who can't cure crap. So if you can't cure crap with your philosophy, or you have a few people getting better, this is far beyond a few people getting better. We have serious cancer issues, serious issues at the cell level. Not only the acidosis is high, but the cell level is so low, the children are extremely beat up. No, this all requires all of us working together and not fighting each other, working together at these high levels to start pulling the human state back, if it isn't all supposed to be. If not, it'll be wiped off, and there'll be another drama created. It's always ongoing. That's why, first and foremost, put the oxygen on yourself, then your children and your family and people. Get it yourself. Get the strength, get the knowingness, get the power yourself, and then give to others. And that's how it's supposed to be. Reach your hand out. This is the buddy system. Don't hold it all, or you'll stagnate. Give. Open up. show love. You don't have to have all the knowledge. You know, practice. Practice communication, the art of dialectics, the art of communication. You know, you don't have to pronunciate words this long. You don't have to be able to spell everything on the planet. That's narcissism. That's intellectualism. That only gets you lost deeper. What you'll be able to do is be able to communicate simplistically to others on the planet and express your joy and your love and your happiness and your health and how you got it. And that's important in the awakening process, because all this is an awakening. It's about knowledge. It's not about knowledge at all. Matter of fact, you'll see where knowledge is stifling, constipating, and conditioned. It hasn't anything to do with truth. The mind, you can get knowledge how things are put together, so what? I know, you can figure how that bone's put together. Oh, and by the way, Marco, I got it. Thank you, Marco, from England. Yep, mine didn't have the windows in it, but I'll tell you, I didn't even have the flowers. I would have if I could have. But no, this is what I lived in for about 3 years. A little small. Now they got RVs. But you know, it's all about finding the self. It's all about who am I? Well, that longing to understand that alone state. And the only way you can find yourself is in the alone state. You can't go into a crowd to seek yourself. You can't go to the highest mountain and seek yourself, because you're always bringing yourself with you. You know, if you look at it the other way, the self is always bringing the body where it wants to bring it. It's just awakening to the self, and it's so simple to do that, in that you have to just simply stop thinking, stop desiring, start planning. You don't need anything anymore. Shelter, food, that. You don't need to think about that. That's obvious. You go out and you do that. But living in that moment, learning to get a hold of that mind and use it when you want to use it, getting a hold of those emotions. So in this process of awakening, you will have emotional detoxes. And you will want to cry. You'll have sadness. You'll have joy. You'll see a gamut of emotions coming out as you begin to clean those adrenal glands, as you begin to get the thyroid and parathyroid, your bashfulness, your shyness, your inferiority complexes will start to melt away, and you'll become strong in the self. Making these glands strong, you have to start somewhere, and you maybe start 2 places: one in your lifestyle, and 2 in your consciousness of knowingness. Very important to awaken for a lot of you guys. A lot of you guys were sent here to help me and to help others. There's a lot of spiritual beings that are helping others out there. They're just, the universe right now here is full of giant spiritual beings. The ascended masters are all around. You've got all kinds of beautiful beings. Look at the work that Paul Twitchell brought to this planet. That is, if you ever have a chance, you've got to look at his writings, because it was the map, the greatest map ever done of creation and God. The greatest map ever done. You can find the map, pieces of the map. You know, it's kind of like that, I was watching last night, this treasure hunt type thing, a journey where everybody's, you know, going on, and it's a race, the great race or whatever it is, and this guy that really tore his Achilles and everything, he's actually ahead and winning. Pretty cool. I think the last time they did this Vietnam vet, maybe it wasn't in Vietnam, it was maybe in Afghanistan or Iraqi vet, I mean, he kicked butt. I never seen a dude handle the pain and power that guy did. And it shows you what happens when you move away from the febrile lower bodies of materiality and you become strong in the self. Nothing can stop you. You know, and that's what's important, because it's your world, your experience, your love, your joy. You're constantly experiencing that. And you can't experience anything that you haven't put out and it's not bouncing back at you at one level or another. It's just hard to see outside of this little realm that you're in of, say, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years, however old you are. What's before that and what's on the other side of that. This is just a small little increment in your journey. Where have you been? Where are you going? This is creation. This is the playground. Hop a bus. Take another journey. Leave one body, get another. You know, that's all it is. But you must always seek the self, the awareness of the self. And you can't seek it. It's even a bad word to seek it, because I've always said the seeker of God never finds God. He's always seeking something outside of the self. And that's where the golden key is. Like the golden key of wellness is detoxification. Why? Because detoxification cleans out all the obstructions of the flow of energy, whether it be acids and proteins, heavy metals, doesn't matter. You're removing these obstructions, these acid principles that are inflammatory to the body, that damage the cells. And it's true with strong alkalis, although the predominance is on the acid side. So we're removing those, and we're strengthening the cell. We're regenerating. We're replugging in the consciousness of the cell, because at one level, everything is just simply energy, transferences of energy, different levels. In spirituality, we call those different states of consciousness. The reality is consciousness, not states of consciousness. That's just the world we play in. And you can take on any state of consciousness. I'm a doctor. I'm a nurse. I'm a CNA. Oh, I like to dig ditches. I like to work in the garden. I'm a carpenter. You know, that's what I do. I like to play with that. I am that which is. I am the all of all. There is no name you can give the self. That's why we loosely use the word soul, in the sense that it just simply means that part of yourself which is the true you, that which is beyond illusion, that which is real, that which is happy and joyful and full of ecstasy for the very allness of everything. So it's interesting, and I want you all to have fun today. I'm going to be able to get to your questions at another time. And this week, I promise you, I will sit down and try to get out 2, 3, 4, 5 hours of this. We've got a ton of eyes to go over, so I apologize so much. I'm doing my very best to get to you all, and we are here at the group here. We're trying our darndest, so please have some patience with us. But tear it up. Get into that lymph system. Go after it. 2 kidneys, 2 lymphatics, stomach and bowel, GI broom. Start cleaning up those glands. Get in the adrenals. Get into the thyroids and the pituitaries. You can't go wrong. A lot of you are having skin problems. Well, what is the skin? The largest eliminative organ you have. So when you see things on the skin, you're trying to eliminate through the wrong channel. I mean, it's a proper channel of elimination, but too much on the skin. And you notice the subcutaneous levels of the skin in the eye relates to the lymph nodes. And then where the lymph nodes are impacted, you got to break them loose. Well, it takes time. Don't get upset. Takes time. A lot of you are waking up to very toxic physical bodies. So you get yourself right, and at the same time you start getting the bodies right. And to get your emotional body right, quit desiring. Step away from it. Let it work itself out. Step away from emotions. Become strong with yourself. Love yourself. Not narcissistically, not egotistically, but love yourself as an individual expression of the Supreme One, of God. I hate to use the word supreme, but of that which is the Creator. It's the only doorway you can find the truth. Jesus found that. Everyone found that of the spiritual giants. And to the degree they become more of it, shows you the heights that they've achieved. And you can find that. You can journey and talk to these great holy people. And the worlds are huge in creation, and a lot of these beings still maintain bodies at different levels. So there's so much fun to be had. So you let go of this world. It's too constipated right now. Let go and just feed it love, feed it joy, and feed it health. Because you guys are the key. Every one of you that are on this channel that are getting yourself well, also realize that God's going to use you to help get others well. That's how it's done. So the significance of what you're doing on yourself can't be underestimated, and please don't, because you're so valuable to others that are lost, and they just need you to come up and tap on their shoulder, put your arms around them. This world needs that, and it can't have it if you don't awaken. So all of us that are awakening, this is good. And so just realize that if you want to awaken more, just stop desiring. Stop playing the game now. And be the master. Be the healer. Be the healed. If you've got a problem and it's deep, keep going until it's gone. Because there's no other answer out there for you. There's nothing in homeopathy. They're chiropractic. These are all therapeutics. Homeopathy, not therapeutic. Good place for medical doctors to be. But realize what's curative. Realize the simplicity of the causative factors of our suffering instead of the complexity that the mind has made it. Allopathics, I feel sorry for these guys. They're so lost. And they become so narcissistic, many of them, that they've lost themselves even deeper in that world. Well, then we start making mistakes and we start hurting people and we start getting out of the realm of true wellness and true healing. And so a lot of beautiful medical doctors, and I say this with naturopaths, a lot of naturopaths are lost with that. The narcissistic of being a physician and things like that. Be the physician of the healer. Be a healer and help others to get their body well. But it's not just one body. You've got many. You've got your emotional side. You've got your mind to deal with. So that's why I say, get back to the self, that which is you, the reality of your experience. And then have fun and try to work and not lose yourself again. Because you'll find yourself coming in. This is a whole nother trip, a whole nother level for you to understand. Is that it is a process of maintaining the now. And that's what's difficult. In my conversation with you, I have to maintain the now. If I can't give you the information I need to. And it's that way in all life. If we don't maintain the now, we're sucked back with the mind again, and we're back in creation again. And it's difficult. It didn't say it was easy, and yet it's the easiest thing to do, and yet the most difficult, because everything works against you, because creation wants you a part of it. Come join us. Come join the pack. No, we've been the pack. So it's time to awaken. So my love goes out to every one of you today. Those that are suffering, hang in there. You're going to get your life back. Work it hard. If you have to cut back on the fruits, cut back on the fruits. If you have to go deeper into fasting, do that. But we'll get back to your questions here when I get a little time opened up, and I'll go through your questions here. And don't be afraid to keep submitting them, because I will get to you. I promise I will. And I will make a concerted effort Thursday, I think. I don't know, I think we have some clients, but to really sit down with you and go deeper into this health issue physically, emotionally as well. So you all have fun today. It's always an honor to come to you and to spend time with you. And I thank you all for taking your precious time and learning and growing, because there's nothing like it. Get your joy back. Get your happiness back. Get your strength back. Get your freedom back. No matter what's going on around you. Love to every one of you.